everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Mars Manifesto. I am back with my friend John, and today we're going to be talking about managing relationships and the dynamic between men and women managing each other. So this should be a really interesting conversation. John, this was a really good one we talked about the other day, and it was something that I really wasn't even aware that women kind of do until you gave it the term sort of managing the relationship. And if you could sort of give us a little overview of what a male perspective of managing a relationship is and why you think it's important that one or the other partner sort of does this within the relationship.
Well, I think a lot of men don't realize that women are, first of all, better at managing the relationship. And I say managing the relationship as separate of managing them.
Right.
Sometimes it's the same thing. Sometimes it's very separate. The relationship is its own piece.
Right.
It's its own world, and So I think first, a lot of men don't realize there's a distinction between the two. A lot of men don't even realize that a woman is better equipped to manage that relationship and at times to manage them. Mm-hmm. And that's, in my mind, the beauty of having a relationship and being in a healthy give and take, which is, being managed. And heck, this is taking a lot of pressure off. If she's really managing your relationship really well, then that's one less thing for you to have to deal with. And women, and I think that's, there's a lot of biology behind this. Women are biologically put together, socially to manage social situations better. I think they're much better equipped in a lot of ways.
So where's the line between? Well, let's talk about managing the relationship first, and then we'll talk about managing the person next, because they're really different.
Yeah.
And we come into sort of perception of power struggles, and that gets tricky when we're talking about managing a person.
Yeah.
So in terms of managing the relationship, how do you see a healthy management of a relationship from a woman to a man, or like the I guess more control from a woman in the relationship? How do you see that as a healthy sort of overview?
Well, the brutal thing to say is manage him without him realizing you're controlling him.
That sounds dangerous.
People don't want to be controlled, but I think great people, people that are more sophisticated, like being managed, right? If we're doing something that is really exciting for us and productive, and we're in it, and so let's just say it's running a company, or running, let's say you're a baseball coach is the manager, right? He's managing these players. So I think being managed while you're in this wonderful state of purposefulness, you're doing something great, but you're being managed, is a real high level of thinking. So if you're in this great relationship and someone's managing it for you, why would you second guess it? Mm-hmm. That's a higher level of thinking, maybe.
Yeah.
Right?
Do you think this goes back to?
But you don't want to be manipulated or controlled.
Yeah. No, that's true.
And you can I think men can mistake being manipulated or controlled from being managed. And being managed in your relationship is a good thing. And it's just what the woman is naturally doing. She's trying to help you live the happiest, most productive life you can within this familial situation that you have, which is, you might not even have kids, but now it's not just about you, right?
It's a unit.
You've got this unit,
right.
And this unit you have to manage yourself. So once there's two people, somebody's got to be managing something. Yeah. So,
do you think this goes back to the way that men were raised by their mothers, how their mom managed their household and their relationships? Yeah. Do you think that men sort of gravitate towards women who manage in a similar way that their mothers managed them growing up, or managed their fathers or their households?
Well, there's all this psychology behind that.
So just your opinion,
if
I
you
guess.
were, yeah, if So I run into situations, me personally, where I kind of will go back to where my mom maybe, and who wouldn't? You know, my mom did a fantastic job of raising me, was always there for me, and she was a very good mother. But just like anything, there were times when I was probably overmanaged, or she had to manipulate me because I was misbehaving or anything.
Right.
So yes, I think as a man, you go back to that first critical relationship, which was with your mom, and you don't want to feel, I think you bring up something really good. A man does not want to feel manipulated or controlled.
Or mothered, right?
Or mothered. Yeah, or
because
mothered.
a lot of women say, well, it didn't work out because he's looking for a mommy. He's looking for a mother.
Yeah.
But I think there's some truth to that.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's hard for women to understand because we are the mothers, right? We are the ones sort of ruling the roost in a lot of ways. And so to go back to that sort of childhood psychology, for us, it doesn't really cross our minds because we are sort of the ones who are managing everything.
Well, take it from, and then what we all have to do this is we all have to find someone healthy to be in a relationship with.
Right.
Okay? So they're mentally healthy. We all have trauma. We all have our strengths and weaknesses, but someone is generally mentally healthy. You have to get to that point first. You're not going to fix someone that has issues that they need therapy about. You're just not going to fix them.
Yeah.
So first of all, don't get into a relationship with a man you're trying to fix. Get into a relationship with a man that is capable of rising to a new height with their strengths and weaknesses and to support you and the two become better than you were as single people. So what that looks like in my mind is you start to acknowledge what your strengths and weaknesses are, and you allow that other person to help you capitalize on that. So minimize the strengths, maximize the weaknesses. So then you're into compatibility, and it's just critical for a man to be in a relationship and realize that this other person is merely trying to help them grow into what they enjoy doing and where they're strong.
Which can sometimes be really painful for guys to understand or to see, I think, that there might be something that's just not clicking, or there might be something that they've been struggling with for 50 years, you know, and finally they're with a partner who recognizes it within them and wants to help them. Do you think that leads to some men pushing really great partners away when they recognize that, wait a minute, everybody else sort of saw me through rose-colored glasses, or I pushed them away before they could get to this point? The ability to manage a relationship isn't something that all women possess, I don't think. And so when you do find a partner who can do that effectively, do you think that it scares some men? Having the understanding that someone does have the ability to kind of see them for who they are and how it could work best, and they may resist it?
I think you first have to say as a man, you have to say, okay, do I want to be in a healthy, longer term relationship?
Well, healthy, is also dependent on how they were probably raised too,
And we have to use these words exactly, kind of general, but I mean, and if you're in a longer term relationship, you've got to be pretty healthy anyway, or you wouldn't be able to survive it, right? She's going to leave.
Or unless one person's carrying it.
Yeah, well.
That's a whole other conversation.
It's not healthy, and then I think as women, you either have to make a decision if you want to carry it, or do you want something that's more mutual. I see a lot of women carrying a relationship, and it's causing them a lot of grief. But boy, they'll just
keep on trucking.
And I mean, there've been periods in my marriage where I was being carried.
Yeah.
So, periods. I mean, I always conscious of giving back and what I'm doing, but getting back to, I think I can only really talk about my own experience and in ways in any meaningful way, which is, look, I've got certain strengths which I'm aware of over time. I've acknowledged with my wife, and my wife should be really helping to cultivate and support and make me feel great about what I'm good at.
Yeah.
Tell me, reward me. The things that I'm not good about, I've got to be open enough to realize that she's there to bring those to my attention and to help me either eliminate or change those behaviors or those fears that I have.
Yeah.
And then that's just being committed enough to the relationship to know that this other person is not coming after me for something that is nitpicky or destructive. They really have something to tell me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate your time
It's
today.
hard.
I know it's a tricky subject.
I mean, is your question answered?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I guess my last question would be, how can a man be more open to being managed if he kind of sees that a relationship is able to be carried by a woman? Like how can he sort of be more open to that and not feel like he's being controlled? Because then we delve into controlling other people, I guess, to a degree, feeling like you're being controlled by someone else versus the relationship being controlled.
Well, I call it having a dog, and this is very humorous, but I think it's very accurate. For those folks that have a dog, dogs are very simple. So, pet the dog, feed the dog, okay, right? Discipline the dog simply, right? Don't reward the bad behaviors. So pet, feed, discipline, and sex. I mean, I know there'll be a lot of criticism about this, but
no, it's coming from a man, so
is,
it's not going to be that.
It really, a lot of it really is that simple. And look at what kind of dog you could have. You know, if it's a good dog, man, that talk about loyalty and always there. Mm-hmm. And you know, if a dog had thumbs, it'd probably wash itself. So, but I think you know, think about a good dog, and the simplicity of men obviously are capable of higher level thought, but in terms of relationships, there is such a simplicity there.
I think that's where women overcomplicate things because we're so complicated, we're so emotional, and you know, we have a hard time sort of simplifying everything. I would guess that a majority of the people who will be watching this are women, because women are constantly looking to figure out men, how they work, how we can communicate better. You know, we're always making things more complicated. A great example, not having to do with relationships, I was learning how to shoot sporting clays, and it was a male instructor, and every time the clay would go, he'd say, "Why didn't you pull the trigger? Why didn't you pull the trigger?" He's like, "You're overthinking something so simple." I was overthinking to the point where I couldn't even pull the trigger.
Yeah. You're processing several things before you're making just a physical action.
And that's something that has nothing to do with emotions. And women think that way constantly, and we kind of just pile it on. It on all the time.
Yeah. And men just get lost in that.
Yeah.
Just lost, and so we'll give up.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's tricky. That's really tricky.
It is tricky, but I think that's what important what you just said, and I think that let's all take a breath and realize that hey, it's tricky, and tricky can be fun, and it's a part of the journey. It's a part of that fairy tale that women want. It's that journey. It's that take me on a trip. You know, that is the trip is figuring that out, because it is tricky, and there is more to think about than when's my next meal, or when am I going to have sex, or this itch is back. You know, there's more to life than those things. I'll have to admit.
Well, thanks again for coming on today, and I hope that you guys got a little bit out of that, because it was actually pretty informative for me too. I know we've talked about it before, but I always seem to get a little bit more out of you every time we talk. So
well, see, there you have it.
Just a little bit.
Dragging it out of the men. Okay.
All right. Yeah. Thanks.
All right.
See you guys next time.